Hello, this is the Torg Eternity Brief Delphi Council Debriefing, where the storm has a name. Today I am your solo host, Leamon Crafton, line developer of Torg Eternity, and we're doing a brief one today with Mars because I was just very busy on the day that we normally do the recordings. So for this Delphi Council debriefing, I'm going to answer one of your emails that I think a lot of times with the emails, it's very good to have different opinions and stuff, but when it's more talking just official type information, or in this case, it's more of a how game masters individually can develop things, it might be better for just myself to do it. Even though various opinions are always welcome, in this it might just have been too big for three of us to do. So hopefully this works well and you will enjoy it. But before I dig into the email, I would like to say do email us at torgdcd@gmail.com, and either myself in the brief debriefings or all three of us or whoever might be a special guest host, if we have emails during those times, we'll answer your questions, we'll read your emails, we'll make comments, etc. So, having said that, let's just dig in. So this email is about Malagwa. Malagwa was, or is, depending on if you've played Operation Soft Cell, it may become part of your Cosmverse. So, having said that, I do also then want to say, if you're a player and you're expecting to play Operation Soft Cell, this might be an episode that you skip or get your game master's permission to do, or to listen to, I guess. And for game masters, even if you don't do Operation Soft Cell, this would be very similar to when I went over how to create a path or use other paths to reskin or reshape paths. That's kind of what this will be about as a Mini-Cosm, or a complete full Cosm if you wish to do that. So let's get into this. This says, hello Delphi Council Debriefers. First, I'd like to thank you for the YouTube channel, which has consistently helped me see Torg in ways I didn't before. I've been playing the games with 2 different tabletop groups for 3 years now, and we have tremendous fun. So, first off, thanks for listening. I'm very glad that you have been having fun with the Torg Eternity. Having 2 groups is always cool as well. I always liked when I had 2 or more groups in the same Cosmverse. That allowed me to have guests, like in a TV series, when you have, say, 2 different CSIs, and you have one in Vegas and one in New York, and you have special guests who come on, and that's what I would do if somebody was available to play with another group. I would have them shuffle over, so that's always cool as well. So I was a longtime Torg fan, and it's very rewarding to see my players getting more and more curious about the Cosmverse lore as we dig deeper and deeper into the possibility lore. So yes, player engagement is always very fun. That's something that I personally always enjoyed and enjoy in all my role-playing games. When you look at your 3 pillars of social, combat, and exploration, I've pretty much found out I'm very big on the exploration area of it. I usually do not read material as a player unless it affects my character. So say if I'm a fighter, I will only read about fighter rules. If I'm a magic user, I'll only read about magic rules. I won't read about if the cleric or priestly rules are different. I won't read about that because I like to be surprised by other players and what's in the world and things like that. So that's always cool. I extend my gratitude to the Infiniverse community whose products have been inspiring as well. Great. Yeah, do check out the Infiniverse Exchange on DriveThruRPG. There's a lot of great projects out there that you can get to help fill up your Torg stuff. And you can leave anything that you don't like. You can piecemeal stuff in. That's what I've done in my own home game as well. So let's get into the meat of the email. I've been playing Operation Soft Cell for the past few months with my group, and as it happens, 2 of my players rolled a 1 on a reality check to avoid being transformed to Malagwan Axiom. So 6 characters, so out of 6 characters, 2 are now Malagwan pirates. So I have 2 world laws and very little context to help them craft the transformed versions of their characters. I'm being asked questions that I need to answer, like how do magic and miracles work in Malagwa, who's the High Lord, can I have the magic-powered equivalent of a law rocket to slay krakens? This last one was his own thought. Are there any additional guidelines you can give me to handle this? Will Malagwa appear in future products? Again, thanks a lot, and may everyone enjoy their Cosmverse as much as we enjoy ours. Vincent. So, Vincent, thank you very much for writing. And yes, this is always something that I encourage game masters and tables to get into, to not be afraid of. In the original Torg and classic Torg, there was an adventure. And I can really sympathize and empathize with this email, because in my own game as a game master, there was a adventure called High Lord of Earth, and it was kind of a little misleading. The darkness device wasn't actually tied to Earth, but it had effects on Earth's history, and in that there was a possibility that the Storm Knights would fail, and there would be an Aztec empire created in the Mexico and Yucatan area. And my group failed that, or they thought they succeeded, but they didn't do a couple of vital steps that were necessary to fully succeed. So at some point, Azteca came up, and yes, there were axioms and a couple of world laws, and that was about it. So that's something that I had to come up with. Also, being on a player side of things, going through Relics of Power, there's one act, and it might not even be a full act, it might be just a few scenes, but there's a short period of time where the Storm Knights, are in an Akashan reality, and I happen to disconnect and roll a 1 to reconnect, so transform, because I don't like losing ads. So I transformed into Akashan, and there weren't many rules on that. So I completely understand on both sides, the Game Master side and the player side. So what I would suggest doing is what I did in my own game, and what I actually have published on the Infiniverse exchange through, I don't want to sound like a shill for myself, but the Paraverse is an alternate Cosmverse where I have 3 examples of this. I list the Aztec Empire, I called it Azteca because I didn't want so many empires, Nile Empire, Azteca Empire, so I just called it Azteca. I also, at the time I wrote the Paraverse, only the core rules had been released, so I did not have the Living Land or Nile or anything like that. And one of the things that had happened in my Cosmverse at that time is what in Classic Torg was the land below, which then became the land above. I had a different scenario that happened to create a Cosm like that, or a Mini-Cosm like that, and I just called it the Lost Land. And that was a combination of Nile and Living Land, and I picked and chose what I wanted in it from both Nile and Living Land. So I did that. For Azteca, I kind of took how the Aztec calendar system and knowing about astronomy, astrology, and stuff was not a linked through Atlantis thing, but a similar in basic quick view of Nile stuff. So I changed the star system for Nile mathematics at the time in Classic Torg and kind of rearranged that to be for Azteca. for the classic Torg. And then when it was brought over, I simplified it a bunch because and streamlined it because Torg Eternity did the same thing. And then the other thing was the cautions. I really, at the time, in Classic Torg, you could be from the star sphere. You could be in a caution or one of the client species in that reality. And I had characters in that. So I went through the old Space Gods book and looked at the equipment and looked how values and stuff had changed from the classic Torg to Torg Eternity, and came up with equipment lists and came up with Cosm cards and things like that. So for Malagwa, what we do have, and if you look in the Operation Soft Cell, so let me look at that. What we have is we have 2 world laws. And the third world law, as I've stated previously, is usually dealing with the Cosm cards. So first, I'm not sure, did Malagwa succeed or fail? You did have people transform, but was Malagwa established in your Cosmverse or not? So if not, then you don't have to worry about the world laws because they are not like Classic Torg. They don't get moved around where people go. But if they do, then you have 2 of your major world laws, and then the third world law would be your Cosm cards, basically. So it's kind of a fluff law, and the mechanical aspects are Cosm cards. So I'll explain a little bit of how I would handle that as if Malagwa did get established on your world. So first off, Malagwa is a pirate magic type Cosm, Mini-Cosm. So I believe this was highly like the genre. Torg likes using movie genres. So for genres, I would say look at your Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm absolutely sure that's where the magic and the tech and the pirates and all of that kind of came from. So that's what I would look as an overall concept of what is trying to be presented in this. So we have axioms. We have magic of 18, social of 11, spirit of 19, and tech of 15. So I would just go down each of those and look at what cosms out there are closest to those at first glance and see how you can work that. So magic is 18. So that is higher than anything except for Isle. So in the Torg core rule book, I would look at 18, and 18 says gods or similar forces may, or sorry, I'm looking at spirit. Sorry, let me back up to magic. Magic of 18 is conjuration of living beings becomes a reality. 19 would be spells may be permanent, though significantly increase the difficulty of casting. So we're not at 19. So there are, if you look at the other axioms, there are some minor magic items and stuff like that that can be found, but your spells aren't going to be permanent. So that's what I would look at spells. I would look at Isle magic. I would determine what type of things are happening there, but I would get rid of the 19 through 24. So I wouldn't have spells that are permanent. So any of those spells I'd get rid of. And your axioms, you can look at your axiom needs and cut out any spells that, if there are any that are 19 or higher, just right off the bat. And objects and stuff aren't going to be as, there will be magic in the world, minor magic items and stuff, but if you look at the chart, intelligent magic items are at 23, fully sentient magical items are at 24, which is at the high end of Isle. So that I wouldn't worry about. That's not going to be there, and it's not going to be something like Isle where magic items are common. So yes, they will be found and stuff, but it's not like everybody has a broom that sweeps your floor in your house for you, or a kettle that automatically boils water for tea, things like that. So that's what I would look at magic. And thinking about the Pirates of the Caribbean movies and things like that, I would look at how magic works there. There is magic in it, but it isn't your fantasy magic. So that's kind of how I would look. and I would make any skill lists based off of that type of thing. So then if we look at the social is 11. So it's higher than Living Land, but it is much actually lower than Isle. If we move to social, and 11 is feudalism and imperialism arise, allowing for larger and layered communities that include multiple subcultures. So you would have your pirate groups, and since it's an island world or an island cosm, you might have groupings of islands or a big island with some other groupings of islands, smaller islands as, say, empires, and your kingdoms or things like that, your fiefdoms. Those would be more of maybe an island or two or a cluster of small ones that are close to each other that are feuding and are having pirates or trying to get rid of pirates, etc. there. It would not be even Isle goes up to 16 of caste and class structures begin to go away. So you will have your serfs or your peasants. You will have your ruling classes for the establishments, and then you're going to have pirates that are probably maybe a pirate captain or a pirate leader or the leader of a pirate city that has captains under him, and then their crew are under them, but there's going to be very clear-cut castes. You'll probably have a lot of islands that are with agriculture or farming or somehow resource production to keep this world going. So that's what I would look at. But you're not going to have anything that is getting rid of class or structure or things like that. You will have mutinies because that's a pirate theme and things like that, but there will be clear-cut organization, a chain of command as you will, and it will be upsetting that, taking that over, not trying to make something better. So it's basically just kind of replacing. So that's where I would go with the social. So if we look at Spirit is 19, which is one higher than Isle. Isle is an 18. So again, I would look towards the Isle spiritual, and that's what I had said before with Isle, the spirit of 19. The difference is spiritual realms such as hell or paradise gain material existence. Individuals may physically travel to those realms and back. So the very first thing I would think of is a hell on a pirate water world type cosm. I would have hell be Davy Jones's locker. That's what I would do. I would just have that is what hell is, the bottom of the sea, and people would possibly be able to travel there and back through whatever mystical, spiritual means you have, because you have both a high magic and a high spirit. Everything else is Isle. So there are evidence for divine power, and you might have some dichotomy over the ocean, Davy Jones or something, and then some good benevolent a deity who calms the waters and has rain help with the plants and agriculture on the islands. There's probably a lot of fishing, so the sailors would probably go for a benevolent water deity or power or something like that. So that's what I would go with. The spiritual, and then the tech is 15. So again, very close to Isle. Isle is a 14. Tech 15. If we look at the core rules, 15 is industrial steam power and printing press becomes more prominent. Calculus is understood. So what we're looking here at the steam power for a Pirates of the Caribbean, I wouldn't necessarily go steampunk. But I would possibly do steam power for other aspects. We have telescopes, we have microscopes, are practical. Cannons and crude handheld firearms appear is 14, which would be the wheel lock. So for 15, I would look at the Renaissance. I would look at the 16th and 17th centuries. Renaissance, conquistadors, depending on how you've either been taught it or your viewpoints. You could call it the age of discovery or the age of invasion, basically, when the European powers went and started planting flags and conquering everybody. That's the kind of tech I would look at. So I would go one step above wheel lock. I'd probably go to flintlock. I wouldn't go to where you have the percussion caps. That is a bit later, and we're definitely not into the Orosh 19, Tech 19. So I would just have slightly better tech. I wouldn't have armor in a water world for the fact, or armor like plate and chain armor and stuff, because you're going to sink. Maybe some leather, some hard leather or something at the top. Maybe a breastplate. So look at that from Isle. But kind of like how the conquistadors, once gunpowder and firearms have become more reliable, armor for that tech became less needed. And I do understand that in Torg is a fantasy, so yes, you do have your Eilish knights in armor running around, fighting people with machine guns. If you want to go that's fine. But as a concept, I wouldn't have the heavy metal armors. I would do, like I said, the leather type stuff if people want armor, or half suits type armors. So that's kind of how I would take my various techs. And I would just go with that. I would give all the players kind of a concept. Hey, think about Pirates of the Caribbean or watch these movies, and that's kind of how your characters feel. That's kind of how they work and how they activate. And you don't have to always look at Jack Sparrow. You can look at Orlando Bloom's character. I don't remember what it was, but the weaponsmith. You could base it off of different things, so you don't have a bunch of Johnny Depp imitators going around. So there's lots of characters that you could look at in that and take ideas from. So the last thing that I would do would depend on, did Malagwa actually succeed in coming to the possibility wars or not? If so, you do have your first two core laws, and then you come up with how do I work my Cosm cards? So you can either do what I did in Paraverse for, I believe I did it for the Azteca, made Cosm cards, and at this time we only had 10, so I made 10 Cosm cards. You can go like Jay does and just make a bunch more Cosm cards, 20, 40, however you want to kind of switch up things. But by looking at the other two laws, you have the law of trouble, which is epic adventures. And what this does, and they use critical failure. I would say we call that auto fail in Torg Eternity. So instead of a 1 being an auto fail, there's much greater chance. Instead of a 5% chance, there's a 20% chance, a roll of a 1 through 4. So your 4 case contradictions, your 4 case mishaps, those are all auto fails. So that's pretty harsh, but that's part of the epic, because then if you explode on a 20, you roll the D20 twice, and you take the greater of the two. So your failures really fail, and your really good explosions even have a chance of being better. So then the other is the law of exploration. Exploration has the 60 plus. Some hidden marvel comes to attention. This wonder can be a bane or a boon to the character. The game master should roll a bonus die in secret on a result of a 1 through 3. The marvel is a boon to the character. However, on a 4 or more, the marvel is of great consequence to the character, and neither is known to the character until you begin to further explore the marvel. The details are at the discretion of the game master. So with this exploration theme and with this adventure theme, as a quick method, what I would do is I would look at the Living Land, and because the Law of Wonders, and the Isle Cosm cards, and I would shift out, if you're going for the 10 5 from each. If you're going for the 20, 10 from each, or maybe depending on what they are, I would look at each card and determine what it was. So without having the cards right in front of me, what I can think of is I would have Dino Attack. I would put that in there, but instead of it being dinosaurs, I would have it be sea creatures or the mosasaurs or something like that, which is one of the cards. It has that picture. So that's what I would do. We talked about the Baraka card. That Baraka can appear. So on that one, I wouldn't necessarily have the High Lord appear, but possibly there's the Kraken or something that takes that place, Leviathan, and have a big creature, sea creature, big giant squid or something like the Kraken from the original Clash of the Titans, and have that be the big thing, and use maybe a Boraka stats, which is pretty much the Storm Knight group's not going to take it out, so they need to somehow get away from it. So I would do probably those. For the Isle, since you do have this exploration, I would keep the ones, ooh, look what I found, it's a magic treasure, and then I would use that exploration rule of rolling the BD to determine is it a good magic item, is it a bad magic item, and tweak the magic items, because like I explained before, the magic items are different in Malagwa than they are in Isle. But I would have those cards as this is kind of something you did, or the Law of Wonders, where you come across the wonder. Instead of coming across the wonder, you come across what they would call a marvel, which could be a very small island or a treasure chest of some lost treasure that has some magic properties, pieces of 8, things like that going on with it. So that would be my suggestion. As an example, if I look at my Paraverse, and I talked about how I made my Lost Land a combination of Living Land and Nile, what I did there is I took the cards Inevitable Return, Law of Action, Parting Shot, and Round 2 from the Nile Empire, and then I took Primal Instincts, Dino Attack, Survival of the Fittest, the Best Defense, and Lost Treasure for the Living Land, and that became my Cosm deck for my Lost Land. Again, for Azteca, I just went through and made 10 Cosm cards on my own. So depending on how much time and excitement you have about Malagwa, how much time is going to be devoted to it, I would mix Living Land and Cosm cards from Living Land and Isle and tweak them a little bit, and then if I was just doing something quick, that maybe they go there every once in a while. But if it was something that your players really liked and wanted to explore that new realm in the Possibility Wars, then I would possibly take those cards as templates and then rewrite them. Just how Dino Attack is different than the security popping up or the church police popping up. Various, almost the same, but sometimes there's slight variations, and bring that into making your own Cosm cards, buying some little card holders. I would probably buy the ones that have different colors on the back, so that especially if you're using the Isle and Living Land, so you're not seeing Isle and Living Land on the back, that part's covered. If not, just do it how you want. And it could be just something where you print off on paper, you cut out, and then you put a blank card or a plain card, $2 plain card that you buy at the $1.25 that you buy at Dollar Tree. Put those to keep it at a hard backing. Slip your piece of paper in the card for the front and do it that way. So again, yes, I always recommend or encourage game masters and tables to go with stuff that we officially haven't published either yet or ever. I will say, and I hesitantly say this, because one, I don't want to say we're doing a project and then that project not get released, but it is my hope that we do release a Malagwa Mini-Cosm book. Having said that, do not wait around for the book. Just like when I wrote the Paraverse, I did not wait around for Living Land, and then that's when Maritika came up, which is the Torg Eternity version of the Land Below. Again, mine became the Lost Land. I didn't wait around for that. I didn't wait around for anything because I'd still be waiting for a caution. Aztec Empire is not popping up. So even though the one did pop up, once you have made your stuff, do what I did. If official material comes out and it's compatible, use it both. Use both what you came up with and what came out officially through Ulysses. If it's something that you made and what we present is worse in your mind, keep what you made. There's nothing saying that if we come out with something and you think that what you made is better, keep what you made. Or if what we come out officially is something better in your opinion for your table, then replace it. Just let your players know, hey, we're replacing these things. We're not replacing these other things. Let them know what's going on. And then I highly, highly encourage you allow the characters, your two Malagwan characters, to redo their characters. Just start them back at what they chose as their base attributes, and then spend whatever experience on the new system. If they want to keep their character the same and try to, oh, this became this or this stays, you can do that. But that's what I've always done anytime any new source book has came out. When Arush came out, I let my Monster Hunter redesign her Monster Hunter character. When Tharkold came out, I let my Tharkold character redesign his Tharkold's psychic person. So I always encourage that if new material comes out. But even in my own Paraverse, I came up with werewolf rules way before werewolf rules came out in Arush. And honestly, I kind of like mine better, so I use that aspect. I really enjoyed the werewolf template in Classic Torg, so that's where I was more going with. It's a little different as the perk in the Arush source book. But that's something that you'll have to decide, because there's also things that came up with the official stuff that I thought was way better than what I came up with. So as soon as that came up, talked with my group, and we got rid of the Paraverse stuff and brought in the new stuff. So that's why I encourage every table is individual. And I don't want anybody to feel that they have to do what's official if what they have works best at their group. And I'm not going to ever say, oh, this is better or this is best, because really every group is different. And that's what I always say is make the Cosmverse your own. I hope you have fun in your own Cosmverse, because sometimes I hear somebody say, oh, that's not fun. And I think to myself, wow, I actually enjoy that, or something else. And to go back with that exploration, my personal thing, a lot of newer role-playing games really get into players helping build the world, which I think is a great idea, but I, as a player, do not like it at all. I don't like adding things to a game, because as an explorer, I want to learn that stuff. I don't want to put it in there. As a game master, and I'm mostly game master, I put stuff in a world all the time, so I like seeing what a game master puts in, and that's part of my exploration phase. I know the majority of people love that player interaction of when the players get into a new town and the game master's like, oh, players, describe the town. We'll build this town together. That's great. And in certain games, I can kind of get over my personal dislike of that for the enjoyment of the other characters. But then when we go into other games, I'm like, I don't want to chart out this town, not because I'm lazy, because I like that exploration aspect. And it is even the small things of what is that tavern type, or how is the political structure done, or things like that. I have been in three campaigns within the last 5 years, where before the campaign started, the game master got everybody together and we built the world, and that's been very uncomfortable for me. Again, not because I'm against it, because I understand some people really like it and great for them, but that brings down my level of enjoyment as how I see the exploration aspect of it. So if our current game ends where I'm a player in that system and the game master does it again, I might just sit out and say, hey, if the other players want to do that, that's great. After you've come up with the world and designing the world, tell me and I'll come in. But I don't want to be a part of the world building because that takes away fun for me. So just remember, what's fun for you might not be fun for others. We officially are trying to make it generally fun for everybody. So sometimes I will write stuff that is not fun for me because I know the majority of people out there consider it fun. Again, with Torg Eternity and me being a line developer, I don't need Torg Eternity to be my house rules. I have my own house rules that work with me and work with my group and have it fun with the group. What I'm presenting and what I'm trying to write and trying to do is what is best in general for Torg Eternity. So I do encourage all game masters, all tables, to keep that into consideration. There will be things that you might not like, and I would rather you change those things that you don't like because they don't specifically fit you and your Cosmverse, rather than just throw up your hands and saying I don't like this system. Because almost every game in my 40 plus years of role playing, there will be rulings and there will be house rules that help the table. So having said that, please, yes, write us at torgdcd@gmail.com. We will read your email. If it's something like this, it might be a full debriefing, or we might throw a few emails in and do an episode, or if it's just one easy, we'll talk about that and do an episode, etc. So, once again, I am Leamon Crafton Jr., line developer of Torg Eternity, and until next time, I hope you have fun in your own Cosmverse.